All right, it's 3 p.m. or 3:02, February 11, 2022. We're here for the election board meeting to certify the ballot. Call the meeting to order. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll start with roll call. Charles Watterson, President, here. Nelson Pichardo, Vice President.
Here, present.
Heather Stevens, Secretary and Clerk.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. The first order of business is going to be considering the approval of the previous 2 meeting minutes. We didn't get to that last time. Have you had an opportunity to view it, Nelson?
I have, yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Okay, I've had an opportunity as well. Anyone have a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes from the last 2 board meetings.
Second.
Second, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Prior to meeting minutes will be approved. They'll also be on wherever we put them. We're going to start with a brief statement by me on the public comment period. We adopted a rule, I believe it was about 2 years ago now, from the commissioners as far as the public comment section goes. I want to reiterate that and reread that into the record. So the following guidelines will assist us in hearing public comment while conducting effective meetings. Number 1, public comment will be listed on the agenda at the beginning of every meeting on the agenda, but will also be received in the order that it is on the agenda. Each person must give his or her name and address while addressing the board. As a routine matter, public comment will be confined to 3 minutes per person. However, if the presiding officer, me, may at his discretion permit a longer period for a given comment if they believe public interest requires it be extended. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. That's me. Anyone who comes up for public comment, please direct everything to me or whoever's acting president at the time. No person may address or question board members individually. Number 5, the presiding officer may prohibit comments which are deemed frivolous, repetitive, or harassing. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant, and may request an individual to leave the meeting when the person behaves in a manner that is disruptive to the orderly conduct of the meeting. We haven't had any issues with that so far, as far as making someone leave. That's not our goal. No person may present orally or discuss at any meeting of the board any charges or complaints against individuals, employees of the county, department heads, professional advisors, or elected officials without first presenting such charges or complaints to the board formally through the presiding officer in writing, signed and verified by the group or person making the charge or complaint. 7, finally, remarks by any persons addressing the board which reflect adversely upon the character and motives of any other person or group are out of order. Also, attacks in the form of inferences, insinuations, and innuendo against the character or motives of any person are out of order. So that was adopted 2 years ago, and it's still standing as a policy for these meetings. You know, we love public comment because we like to hear what the public has to say in regard to the county election board. But again, remember, this board here is responsible for handling elections fairly and giving you guys just updates on everything that we do, and that's our sole focus, is making sure elections are transparent and ran how they're supposed to according to the Indiana statute and any other federal statutes that control elections. So that's my brief statement on public comment before we get into new business. The new business that we're here for today, and the sole purpose of this meeting, is to consider certification of the election results. We have a printout of all the people that have filed properly. This includes everyone that was added after Wednesday that were filed as precinct committee people. We're not going to read each of these names into the record because we'd be here till 5 o'clock and it's Friday. We understand everyone wants to get out of here. So I've had a chance to review the lists. I'm going to have Nelson have a chance to review the list. So if you could just be patient for a moment while we go through this.
Chuck, would you like those names put into the minutes?
Yes, because they're going to have to be posted publicly anyway.
Yes.
But if you want to put them into the minutes, and you can just scan that entire document if you want.
Yep. do we need to address this here?
Could I have is this the mailed one?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you receive these? After the deadline?
Well, I didn't receive the FAR one at all. This one was before the deadline. We received it in the mail, unnotarized. We did reach out by mail.
Okay.
I was aware of
Yeah.
it, but
Gotcha. Okay. Have you already reviewed the list?
no, not that one. It's a different report than that one, so I'll take it.
For those who just joined on Zoom or walked in, we're reviewing the candidate list right now before certification. So if you hear a silence, there's no audio issues. We're just not talking.
Will you be reading the list out loud or presenting? Because as party chairman, how do I know that somebody that may be a lawful candidate hasn't been excluded from the list?
Yeah, 1 second. All right, I am going to read the list. I'll try to go through it as quick as I can here. And this is just to put it all on record of who's going to be there. These are also going to be written down in the minutes and will be posted publicly as we're required to by statute. If I butcher any names here, don't hold me accountable here. So we're going to start with Diana. We're going to start with convention delegates. Diana Baker, Republican. Brett Bannock, Democrat. Christopher B., Republican. Diane Bergeron, Republican. Elizabeth Bergeron, Republican. Elizabeth Bilderbach, Republican. Michael Bohachik, Republican. Patricia Boy, Democrat. Donald Briggs, Democrat. Deborah Chubb, Democrat. Aaron Collins, Democrat. April Daly, Democrat. Angela Deutsch, Democrat. Spencer England, Republican. Dakota Euler, Republican. Carol Ficus, Republican. Mitchell Ficus, Republican. Michael Gonder, Republican. Consuelo Grammarosa, Republican. Richard Grammarosa, Republican. Carol Granquist, Republican. Daniel Granquist, Republican. Christine Hunsley, Republican. Andrew Keene, Republican. Aaron Kirk, Republican. Billy Kobos, Democrat. Alexander Lawn, Republican. Coral Lawn, Republican. Robert Lonnie, Republican. Nicholas Luntz, Republican. Robert McCormick, Democrat. Rodney J. McCormick, Democrat. Veronica McCormick, Democrat. Anna Miller, Democrat. Bonnie Miller, Republican. Dwayne Miller, Republican. Willie Millsap, Democrat. Heather Oak, Republican. Brett Parks, Republican. Nathan Patrick, Republican. Lisa Pierzakowski, Republican. Barbara Pinkerton, Republican. Larry Pinkerton, Republican. Michael Rosenbaum, Republican. Ronald Schaefer, Republican. Suzanne Schaefer, Republican. Michael Schultz, Democrat. Philip Sherlock, Republican. Joseph Smith, Republican. Timothy Stabos, Republican. Alan Stevens, Republican. Heather Stevens, Republican. Jason Stratton, Republican. Charles Watterson IV, Republican. Eileen Zona, Republican. Moving on to County Assessor. John, of course this is the hard one. John Matishwin, Republican. County Assessor. Michael Schultz, Democrat. County Commissioner Elizabeth Bergeron, Republican. District 1. Consuelo Grammarosa, Republican District 1. Sheila Matthias, Democrat, District 1. Nathan Patrick, Republican, District 1. Michael Kellums, Democrat, District 1. Justin Keel. This is now we're on to County Council, I'm sorry. Michael Kellums again, County Council, Democrat, District 1. Justin Keel, Republican, District 1. Aaron Kirk, District 2 is a Republican. Adam Karanka, Republican, District 1. Randall Novak, Democrat, District 2. Michael Rosenbaum, Republican, District 4. Ronald Schaefer, Republican, District 4. Lynn Spivak, Democrat, District 4. Mark Yagelski, Democrat, District 3. County Sheriff, James Arnold, Democrat. Ronald Heat, Republican. Andrew Heineck, Democrat. Andrew Morse, Republican. Alan Ott, Democrat. Precinct Committee people, Jack Arnett, Democrat. Jessica Arnold, Democrat. Gianna Blake, Democrat. Alan Briggs, Democrat. Donald Briggs, Democrat. Deloria Bird, Democrat. Dennis Carroll, Democrat. Kathleen Krobeck, Democrat. David Conley, Democrat. Jerry Cooley, Democrat. Scott Cooley, Democrat. Katrina Davis Parham, Democrat. These are all going to be Democrats until I stop saying Democrat. Dorothy Decker, Angela Deutsch, Kevin Donaldson, Brenda Falls, Miles Fettinger, Sean Fitzpatrick, Scott Ford, Kevin Harmon, Laura Henderson, Angela Hensman, Breland Hervey, Sandra Hudson, Andrew Heineck, Edward Heineck, Stanley Heineck, James Irwin, Versi Jeffries, Billy Kobos, Vidia Cora, Maria Lake, Anthony Lewis, Deborah Lovejoy, Cheryl Lauder, Martha Moust, Rodney J. McCormick, Agnes Meir, Francis Metcalf, Willie Millsap, Coleman Moore, Willow Moore, Joseph Nelson, Gail Nyla, Ricky Olds, Stephen Perkins, Lawrence Phillips, Beth Pishker, Donald Presbolinski, Michael Quinn, Sean Quinn, Michael Schultz, Julia Sinclair, John Smith, Lois Osinski, Carolyn Surwick, Tracy Tillman, Leonard Trotter, Rebecca Tuhalski, Leona Uriga, Matthew Werner, Jolene Winsky, Bridget Wood, Ted Woodard. Sean Fagan is, now we're moving on to prosecuting attorney. Sean Fagan, Republican. John Lake, Democrat. We don't need to do state, you said?
No.
Okay. Township Assessor, Brett Bannock for Michigan Township, Democrat. Township Board Member, Scott F. Towski, Washington Township. Deborah Alley, Noble Township. Karen Angela Vesky, Republican, Hannah Township. Catherine Lorenz, Democrat, Hudson Township. Diana Baker, Republican, New Durham. Aaron Bannock, Washington Township Board. Carolyn Beatty, Democrat, Union Township. Edward Burek, Pleasant Township, Democrat. Brian Burns, Republican, New Durham. Amy Burris, Republican, Center. Deanna Cody, Democrat, Wills. David Conley, Democrat, Wills. Walter Conlon, Scipio, Republican. Betty Conroy, Democrat, Pleasant. Thomas Conway, Democrat, Galena. Jerry Cooley, Democrat, Springfield. Michael Coulter, Democrat, New Durham. April Daly, Democrat, Cool Spring. Elijah Davis, Republican, Cool Spring. Dorothy Decker, Union Township, Democrat. Mark Emmerich, Democrat, Lincoln. Dakota Euler, Republican, Center Township. Betty Evans, Democrat, Union. Melody Farmer, Democrat, Michigan. Thomas Fath, Republican, New Durham. Scott Ford, Center, Democrat. Brett Friend, Lincoln, Republican. Kylene Fuller, Republican, Center. Richard Grammarosa, Republican, Galena. William Green, Republican, Michigan. Barry Halter, Republican, Wills. Bradley Hardin, Republican, Noble. Carl Harvey, Republican, Scipio. Kenneth Havlin, Cool Spring, Republican. Ross Hinchman, Republican, Cool Spring. James Ingram, Republican, New Durham. James Irwin, Democrat, Cass. George Kazmierzak, Democrat, Michigan. Scott Clems, Republican, Clinton. Austin Kosinski, Republican, Hudson. Gerard Land, Clinton, Republican. Coral Lawn, Republican, Union. James Lindborg, Republican, Noble. Paul Lindeman, Republican, Scipio. Cassandra Lipscomb, Republican, Union. Robert Lonnie, Republican, Michigan. David Lasudio, Republican, Michigan. Nicholas Luntz, Republican, Pleasant. Bobby Maish, Republican, Wills. Michael Magley, Republican, Hannah. Paul Malecki, Republican, Dewey. Susan McLean, Republican, Pleasant. Agnes Meir, Democrat, Michigan. Dale Meese, Republican, Dewey. Dwayne Miller, Republican, Center. Shonda Nelson, Republican, Prairie. Rudolph Netzer, Republican, Union. Michael Neeksh, Republican, Clinton. Brett Parks, Republican, Pleasant. Rodney Peters, Republican, Cass. Monica Prosser, Democrat, Cool Spring. Tammy Rosenbaum, Republican, Hannah. Oof. Patricia Rosenbaum, Republican Cass. Larry Russ, Republican Dewey. Charles Sowers, Democrat Galena. Glenn Schlunt, Republican Noble. Jeffrey Sellers, Republican Noble. Cassandra Shea Garner, Republican Hannah. Philip Sherlock, Republican Springfield. Matthew Skokorski, Democrat Springfield. Jordan Smith, Republican Wills. Joseph Smith, Republican Pleasant. Leo Spence, Democrat Lincoln. Yolanda Spence, Democrat Lincoln. Eli Stevens, Democrat Wills. Donald Stoner, Republican Kankakee. Adam Sweet, Republican Hannah. Roger Teska, Republican Hudson. Jacqueline Tharp, Republican Cass. Mary Thomas, Democrat Galena. Robert Ulrich, Republican Pleasant. Kevin Van Worden, Republican Cass. Susan Webster, Democrat Michigan. Robert Walensky, Republican Center. Kevin Wheatbrook, Republican Kankakee. Thomas Wheatbrook, Republican Kankakee. David Wilson, Republican Hudson. Claudia Winter, Republican Galena. Clifford Wozniak, Republican Cool Spring. Michael Iaculo, Republican Hudson. Sherry Younggreen, Republican Prairie. Eileen Zona, Republican Springfield. Now on the township trustee, Dick Bucher, Republican Dewey. Dennis Christensen, Democrat Lincoln. Howard Conley, Republican Springfield. MJ Cusan, Democrat Wills. Kaylin Deckard, Republican Scipio. Dave Doping, Republican Noble. Brian Garner, Hannah, Republican. Norma Garner, Republican Prairie. Daniel Granquist, Republican Michigan. Brian Gray, Republican Hudson. Derek Goose, Republican Cass. Philip Hannon, Democrat New Durham. Edward Heineck, Democrat Galena. Steve Listinsky, Republican Kankakee. Courtney Myers, Republican Clinton. Curtis Mortis, Republican Hannah. Nancy Morgan, Republican Lincoln. Sherry Ann Morris, Democrat Union. Lisa Pierzakowski, Center Township, Republican. Lois Sosinski, Democrat Cool Spring. Kelly Tanger, Republican, or Tanger, Republican New Durham. Marcus Walker, Republican Noble. Anthony Wallace, Hannah. Rodney Washington, Michigan Township. Charles E. Watterson III, Washington Township, Republican. Robert Younggreen, Republican, Prairie. Joy Ziegler, Republican, Pleasant. And the rest is U.S., so we don't need to do that.
Okay, and just to clarify, I have emailed this to both party chairmen. As soon as I had entered the candidates that we added late, I did run that same report, and again, I emailed that to both party chairmen. So you guys both received that, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So before we move to certify that, and I catch my breath here, let's go to, we've got two ballots. They're not necessarily challenges. They were just not ballots either, excuse me, declaration of candidacy forms, which is the CAN2 that were filed or not filed with our office. The first one was one we just received today that was for Edwin Kressel, Clinton Township Advisor. This one was notarized and sent to us but never filed, correct?
It appears, this was emailed in to me. It was questioned through the Republican Party. The chairman sent me an email, asked me about it. I asked if they had a copy of it, and this is what I was sent. It looks like it was taken into voter registration. It was notarized, but it never came across the hall to the clerk's office. So there's no file stamp on it.
You already looked at that one? You want to handle these by individual votes, you think? No? It's just ineffective, yeah. Okay. So that one is not going to be on the ballot because it didn't follow the process. Unlike the ones we did Wednesday, they followed the process, but we've since redone the process and those were properly brought to us and we allowed them on the ballot. This one was never filed. There's no file stamp. That one's going to be off. The second one is Nicholas.
And hold on, Chuck, just to clarify, that individual didn't come into the clerk's office.
He did not. I did not send him. Yes. This is not file stamped by us.
But there should be, he came in and out. Which one is that to withdraw?
No. Did he come in and withdraw?
No, he came in and filed with our office.
In your office, you file with the clerk,
Well, yeah, I mean, he filled out the paperwork and was told to go across the hall.
but he clearly did not.
Okay.
We'll get to public comment. Hold on.
Just one more question,
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
When was that?
It was Kristen Zabel notarized this January 28th. And I had been sending stuff out to the chairman all along the way, so I had no
Yeah.
idea about this.
Right.
Until I got it by email.
The second one is Nicholas Jurkovic. This one was just mailed to the clerk's office. Looks like it was signed on January 16th, but it was never notarized. And it was just mailed to the clerk's office for County Council District 2. Yeah, it's not a properly filled out form. And Ms. Stevens, you reached out to this person to allow them to correct this, correct?
My deputy, I believe, sent him something by mail.
Because that was the only way you had contact with
Correct.
him? Okay. Okay, so this one's not going to be allowed either because it's not only ineffective, it's not filed, it's not notarized, so it didn't follow more than half the procedure. So that one's not going to be allowed either. As far as the list that we have for the summary candidate that was read out, do I have a motion on that?
I'd move that we accept those as, and
Yeah.
certify those individuals.
Okay. Second?
I would second. I don't know if you wanna ask the two-party chairman anything, or I know Mr. Stevens looked like he was about to have a fit
We
back there.
can because it is before we're voting on we're voting on something. So if the party chairs have any comments, either Dr. Cora or Mr. Stevens?
I have no comments.
Okay. Mr. Stevens?
Yes, good afternoon, Board. Alan Stevens, Chairman, LaPorte County Republican Party. I was made aware of the Ed Kriesel filing that went through voters registration but never made it to the clerk's office to be file stamped at about 10 o'clock last night. The trustee, Courtney Myers down there, emailed it to me. And she said, I've noticed Ed Kriesel isn't on the list of candidates for advisory board. At first, I didn't think a whole lot about it, but then I got to thinking, that this is a little bit of a slippery slope here. We have the special election board earlier in the week where we've accepted some where the proper procedure wasn't followed and they got tied up in voters registration. This one went to voters registration. It was notarized by my appointee in voters registration. It was as we all thought the process was before, where you go through voters registration and the R or the D co-chair sign off on it. That much of it was done. It don't seem too much different than the ones you guys voted on earlier in the week. And so maybe just take that into account. Thank you.
Before we vote on the certification, does anyone have any comments in regard to that?
I do.
Okay.
I think the difference is I was the one that directed those others to go to voter registration at the last minute. This was January 28th. They did go to voter registration, but they never filed with the clerk. And as both party chairmen did receive multiple updates of those who had filed, I think the opportunity to reach out was there, but this was never filed with the clerk. It was never brought to the clerk's office, and I think that that's the difference.
And this wasn't a deadline issue. This was a didn't get it filed issue.
Yeah.
Which ultimately is what Wednesday is. Ultimately what Wednesday was, but that was because there was a step that they had to take to get it filed. And we did file them, so.
Well, and also a big difference also was the fact that those other ones were in fact then walked over to the
Correct.
clerk's office in
Correct.
order to be stamped.
They just weren't.
That's a big difference.
I think this is unfortunate, but yeah.
What's up?
I will say that I do remember that day, and it was pretty crazy in there. And he may have gotten lost in the shuffle and confused at where he was supposed to go.
It is what it is. We have hundreds of people who did it correctly. So that's where we're at. So now I'm going to open the floor back up. We had a motion and a second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and the ballot list for the 2022 primary election is certified. So the proper forms will be filled out and signed and sent down to the state.
Yes.
And everything will be on our voting machines come time for the primary. Anything else for new business?
I don't think so.
Okay, new business is closed. Now we'll move on to public comment.
Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street. I'll just first of all like to apologize for the use of the cuss word I used last time I was before you guys. That won't happen again. But I will always be frustrated with the system until it changes. No excuse whatsoever, but I hope you accept my apology.
Thank you.
There was some comments made on a chat line talking about from a person named Daryl Borton. He basically said that I should get out of the Democratic Party. As of last year, I'm not in the Democratic Party. I'm an independent. And right now, for the foreseen future, I will be an independent. I didn't appreciate those comments from him, especially when he clearly in 2016 and just most recently supported Donald Trump as a Republican. As him being the official, Daryl being the official mascot of the Democratic Party, he should know better. And I'm just getting tired of hypocrites. And there's no place for that. I just want to thank you again, Heather Stevens, for doing your job.
Thank you.
Like I said before, the last persons wouldn't have done it. And I was very grateful, and a lot of other people was grateful that you took time out and found out what the real rules are. I have no ambition on rolling around with the Democrats for quite a while now. With that being said, all Democrats are not bad. I'm going to vote for several Democrats, and I'm also going to vote for several Republicans. We have good Republicans, good Democrats. The bad ones are the ones that concern me. And I will not participate in that nonsense. And to all the people that's listening to this, because I see we have a big audience, people are watching and seeing what I'm saying or what's going to be said. I just want to say this. When you have a candidate who has more than one billboard, maybe have 10 billboards, you might want to stay away from that candidate, because that candidate is no doubt Shaw Freeman's puppet. We cannot continue to do the same old, same old. I'm sick of seeing our money, county money, going to the Swanson Center, get funneled down to a law firm in Indianapolis and come back up here. And only Shaw Freeman candidates benefit from it. And another reason why I just cannot go along with the LaPorte County Democratic Party right now is that they never supported anyone from the black community other than Willie Millsap. I never seen them support not one person. With that being said, I want to thank you guys and let the elections begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody from Zoom platform wish to share on public comment?
Mr. President, I have some comments.
Sure. Dr. Cora, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. President, I watched the last election board meeting on Zoom, and I wanted to do some due diligence before I shared my thoughts with you and the rest of the election board. I want to share some facts. I want to make some suggestions, and I would like to offer some opinions. The county clerk, Mrs. Heather Stevens, has established a process wherein whoever wants to file is directed to voter registration to verify the precinct they reside in, so that the person who is filing is in the correct precinct. And this is a reasonable process, and the county clerks before her have done that, and I am in favor of that. Mrs. Stevens admitted at the meeting that this was her process. Ms. Gail Keynes is appointed by the party chair, and her workflow is determined and directed by the county clerk. Many candidates of both parties who plan their lives better rather than waiting till the last 15 minutes before the deadline came and filed without any problem with this process. First of all, I appreciate Mr. McCormick offering an apology for using the cuss word, because all the years I've been involved in public life, I have always advocated for civility in our public discourse. Anyway, Mr. McCormick made an allegation that Ms. Keynes prevented him from filing and that he also portrayed as if she was a racist. Mr. McCormick, according to what the information I gathered, arrived at voter registration about 10 minutes before noon. Ms. Keynes, along with other staff members in voter registration, helped him with the verification process and sent him to the clerk's office for filing. And by the time he arrived at the clerk's office, it was past noon, and it was the staff at the clerk's office who did not accept those filings based on the rules, and it had nothing to do with Ms. Gail Keynes. A special meeting of the election board was called by the county clerk, Ms. Heather Stevens, and the filings were accepted unanimously, and I support that. Now, these are all the facts. Now, at a time when lies and misinformation are being spread about every facet of our life, it's important to state the facts and stick to the facts. And here are some of my suggestions to the election board and the county clerk, Ms. Heather Stevens, for the future. Anybody who arrives in the clerk's office before the noon deadline should be stamped, and the verification process can be done later to avoid this kind of confusion. The second suggestion I have is that filings be allowed at the Michigan City Courthouse in addition to the LaPorte Courthouse to make it easier for the residents of Michigan City to file. Here is my opinion about some of the comments that were made in the last meeting. I have known Ms. Gail Keynes for many years. She is a very kind and caring individual, and calling her a racist is wrong, and it's a travesty of truth. Ladies and gentlemen, we should all try to promote civility in our public discourse. And for that to happen, it is incumbent on the part of individuals like yourself, Mr. President, or anyone who is presiding over these meetings to insist on decorum, prevent name-calling, the use of abusive language, and personal attacks on the staff, on the elected officials, or as for that matter, any other human being. If we all do not work together to rein in such toxic public discourse, it will adversely affect the future of our community and, frankly, our country. And before I conclude, Mr. President, I want to thank you and Mr. Nelson Pichardo for volunteering your time on this election board. I know you guys are busy, and I really appreciate you volunteering your time, and I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Stevens, did you want to respond to certain?
I do, and I've enjoyed working with Dr. Cora. He's been nice and easy to work with. We try to keep all the communications open. I just want to clarify a couple of things. The way that things had been done in the past, that was not my practice, and that was not the practice by statute. So there's a big difference there. Now we're going to do it by the book. Also, voter registration is absolutely not under the clerk in LaPorte County. I have no say in what goes on over there. So they're not directed by me. I mean, because I came from that office, Kristen often will come and ask some questions. I also believe that they did away with the filings in Michigan City, which are perfectly legal, because there's no voter registration over there. So they couldn't have things verified first, therefore they did away with it. There is absolutely no reason that somebody can't file their candidacy or anything else in Michigan City. That's as much my office as it is here in LaPorte. So that is going to be open for everybody.
Unless the courthouse is closed. Then.
Right.
So you can file over there now that
Yes.
we're doing the process without voter registration checking first. So thank you for your comments. And then we had, it looks like Daryl Borton. Mr. Borton, go ahead. He was there. Daryl Borton, are you there?
Can you hear me?
What?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. While we're working through technical issues, does anybody have any public comments here?
Hey, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was just watching the election board, and under public comment, I just heard my name brought up by Mr. McCormick. I just want to state on the comment I made, I never mentioned no name, number one. And number two, I am a volunteer with the LaPorte County Democratic Party, and I don't appreciate him bringing up my name to the election board. And if you go back and look at my voting record, I have voted straight Democrat for the past 4 years. And I would appreciate my name being left out of it. And I'm not the one going around to every other meeting, coming down on Commissioner Matias, coming down on Shaw, coming down on Dr. Cora, saying the way things are, saying I run the city.
Just election board issues, Mr. Borden. No elected officials or.
I know. I'm just saying.
30 minutes ago.
Okay, but I just wanted to say we need to start working together instead against each other. Thank you.
Amen. All right. Any more public comments? All right. Seeing as there is none, that portion of the meeting is closed, and we'll move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I have a.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got board member comments, and then we will get to adjournment. Nelson?
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah.
I know you're anxious to get out of here.
No.
I am too. I do have some comments. And I usually don't waste my time with responding to the nonsense that was shared during the last meeting's public comments. But in this day and age, I think it's important to set the record straight. First, I, along with my colleagues here on the election board, we take pride in working together to include everyone in the election process, including candidates and folks interested in running. I know the Democratic Party encourages anyone, regardless of race, sex, age, religious beliefs, to run for office, to vote, and I, as the appointed Democratic member, I fully encourage and I support that position. So the insinuation that somehow we or the county tried to prevent someone from running, it's just a downright lie, and I take offense to that. Secondly, the very fact that we had a special meeting on Tuesday to include those candidate forms that were not stamped before the filing deadline should show everyone watching and listening to this that we are inclusive and that the election board wants to accept folks that want to run regardless of what part of the county you are from. It should also show you that when there is an error made by anyone sitting up here, we take responsibility and that error or problem is promptly corrected, as it was on Tuesday. Secondly, there's been some talk about this process with voter registration. I believe the process with voter registration is a good process and one that hasn't had any issues for decades, as far as I'm concerned, and has probably saved some candidacy problems from developing. And although it's not legally necessary, that doesn't mean that it's something that we should do away with. Instead, how about candidates be more aware of time and plan accordingly to submit paperwork with sufficient time to work through that process? Sure, filings should be stamped prior to the deadline if the extra step with voter registration is not accomplished. But ultimately, this comes down to a procedural issue, not some half-cocked conspiracy to discriminate against someone for not having their paperwork submitted. Or the absurd idea that someone in voter registration is conferring with anyone to determine if the person's filing should be accepted so that they are allowed to run. That's a lie, and those lies have to be called out. It's always astounding to me how these accusations are thrown around with absolutely no evidence. We should be a people that care about facts and act when necessary to punish misconduct or when there is actual wrongdoing, but it must be real, actual misconduct supported by evidence and facts, not simply emotion or not liking someone, especially when it has to do with someone's reputation and the integrity of our election process. Those are really important things. I think we would all agree on that. So I will not sit idly by and let these lies go unanswered. And I urge everyone listening and paying attention to all of this to demand some factual evidence when accusations are thrown around, such as the ones that were thrown around on Tuesday's meeting. Lastly, I hope everyone is listening to this. I am my own man and I make my own decisions. I was appointed to this position by the LaPorte County Democratic Party chair, and I listen to my party's concerns when it comes to issues that this board addresses. But ultimately, I take the party jersey off, and I work with Chuck and Heather, and we work together to make the best decisions for our voters. So please, be clear. I'm not some messenger boy. Don't come to this board meeting and tell me to tell anyone anything. Thank you.
Heather?
So when I went to, I'm really glad that Mr. McCormick offered up the apology earlier. When I went to Alco TV today to sit down to do the minutes, the very first thing that popped up was a disclaimer. Basically this may contain some offensive, it was horrible. I hope I never see anything like that for anything having to do with this board. We work hard for you guys. And I just thought that it was, I found earlier this week, I was so disappointed. I really was. I left here feeling a little hurt. Nelson and I come from two different parties. The personal attacks I thought were just too far. I even called Nelson on my way home because I was just disgusted. So I really hope we can all just do a little bit better.
And I agree with that. If you could see behind the scenes what's done, I mean, there's a lot done behind the scenes. We bring these meetings to update the public on everything that's going on. As far as everything that we're doing for the election, we don't make any decisions, obviously, until we get here. But everything we do is for the LaPorte County. There's never been a time where I've had to stop and think, if I make this decision, is it going to make the Republicans mad? Is it going to make the Democrats mad? That's not what we're here for. Obviously, we're appointed by the party chair. If they think we're way out of line, they'll remove us. It's pretty simple. But I don't think there's any hint at any of that with how we've operated on this board, as far as what we've gotten done. I mean, just with Nelson and Heather alone, between the voting machines and the voting van, I mean, those are two big things that, haven't happened on this board in years. Again, technology, obviously, it's newer, but it's things that took a lot of legwork behind the scenes by Nelson and Heather. And another thing, as far as going back to Wednesday, we didn't make any board comments really, but as soon as the thing happened with the late filing, I got a text from Heather that said, "Call me immediately, I really messed up," which is the last thing we want to hear when it comes to deadlines. But I called her and she was frantic that she made the wrong decision. Now, granted, it wasn't the wrong decision as far as the process goes. It was the process we used. It's a more restrictive process, which is allowed as far as double checking everything. So it's more restrictive on making sure everything's accurate. It's not what we have to do, but we have done. And these things came in at the last minute. She decided not to file them because in her mind, the process wasn't followed. She made the right decision at the time, in my mind. But we rectified it by coming here and having a meeting on Wednesday to make sure everything was fixed. But any idea of impropriety that goes on this board or in the county, I can't speak for, obviously other boards and things behind the scenes. You see stuff every day, on Facebook and in the newspaper, but I can't speak for that. I can tell you that this election board is fair, transparent, and we work together to provide fair elections. You're not going to see anything coming out of us as far as, election fraud or anything like that. If it comes to this election board, it's being handled correctly by, very sound and diverse minds, if we're being honest. As Nelson quoted, one of the more diverse election boards probably in the state. So we're going to continue to work for you and provide fair elections, but also we're not going to stand idly by as board members are attacked or other officials, and that's why I reread the public comment. And we're here to direct questions and comments to the board, to me specifically, and we'll respond as need be, but please leave the negative energy at home. No energy vampires in here. And if that's it from everybody, I'll entertain a motion or...
I'd move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries and we're adjourned.